The Gospel of Thomas, Part 6, the final installment. Hey guys, it's John here again for the final installment of the Gnostic Gospel of Thomas. In this Part 6, we're going to dive into the last 15 verses, and rather than waste your time talking about that, let's just jump right in, shall we? They showed Jesus a gold coin and said to him, "The Roman emperor's people demand taxes from us." He said to them, "Give the emperor what belongs to the emperor. Give God what belongs to God, and give me what is mine. Whoever does not hate father and mother as I do cannot be my disciple, and whoever does not love father and mother as I do cannot be my disciple. For my mother, but my true mother, gave me life." Jesus said, "Damn the Pharisees. They are like a dog sleeping in the cattle manger. The dog neither eats nor lets the cattle eat." Jesus said, "Congratulations to those who know where the rebels are going to attack. They can get going, collect their imperial resources, and be prepared before the rebels arrive." They said to Jesus, "Come, let us pray today, and let us fast." Jesus said, "What sin have I committed, or how have I been undone? Rather, when the groom leaves the bridal suite, then let people fast and pray." So in these verses here, he's talking about the idea that all of the earthly powers, all of the earthly material wealth, all of those things, those are physical world constructs that if you're invested in the physical world as the Romans were, and power and money, let them have it. It doesn't really matter, because the physical world is a non-reality. It's an illusion, and they are lost in the illusion of their own material wealth and power. He says, give to them what is them. And he says, give to God what belongs to God. What belongs to God? What do you give to God? You give your love. You give your devotion. You give your expression of self. You give that compassion to be a loving servant, to be a loving individual. Now, I use the word servant in an interesting phrase, because back then they would have thought of themselves as serving God in that way. But in reality, what he was teaching was not about being a servant. It was more about being, at one with and loving and being as of God. And give to God what belongs to God. But what does belong to God? Love, and our own existence in being loving. So he's literally saying that. And then he says, "And give to me." What do you say? He says, "Give to me what is mine." So in other words, give to me what I'm giving to you. If I'm loving to you, give me love. If I am harmful or hateful to you, give me that. Give to me what is mine. Because if I give you this, then I should be reaping exactly what I give you. So that's a very clear statement. Whoever does not hate father and mother as I do cannot be my disciple. Now, in this situation, he's not talking about the father and the mother in the physical form. He's talking about the physical reality. He thinks he doesn't hate. Let me rephrase this. He does not hate anything, but what he dispels it. He pushes it aside. Right. The physical world, even your relationship with your mother and your father, are exactly that. They are illusions in the physical, because your mother and father in the physical world are actually at one with you. But he's literally talking in terms of the father and mother being of the physical construct, of being here in the world. We have these relationships, we have these soul families, and those are all physical world constructs. And now with the soul contracts and the soul groups and all that is all New Age dogma that's been created so that we have an understanding of the physical world in a better way. But there are no divisions, and there are no collective souls who travel together. None of that is a reality, because we're all one. If there is a soul group, it's all of us, and that's what he's literally saying here. Release the need for the physical world labels of individuality, because you're not individual. You're part of the oneness of God. You have an individual consciousness, yes, but you are part of the oneness of God, and in that oneness, you have an awareness of that oneness. Whoever does not love my father and mother as I do cannot be my disciple. So he says, if you don't hate it and you don't love it, if you don't have the release of the physical and love the being with it all, in other words, bringing love here to the physical and living it as he does, then you're not really following what he's teaching. The word disciple is someone who follows what someone teaches. So don't think of it as some big esoteric statement or big title someone has received. A disciple is just someone who follows someone's teachings. It's a student. And so, you can't be my student if you don't, release the physical and bring love into the world. That's basically what he's saying here. And then there's a section in here where there's a chunk missing. He says, for my mother, and then there's a chunk missing, but my true mother gave me life. In other words, the mother, father. He's not being gender specific here. He's saying what the life comes from the source, from God, and this physical reality is a gift from the source, from God. And God, mother, father, doesn't matter what the gender is. It only matters what the we are to bring that to here, to the physical, because what brought us here to the physical is what gave us the awareness of the physical, gave us life. And life is an interesting term, because life is eternal, and we don't necessarily recognize that here in the physical. Jesus said, damn the Pharisees. They are like a dog sleeping in the cattle manger. The dog neither eats nor lets the cattle eat. Right? In other words, he's talking about the Pharisees. Now, what are the Pharisees? Pharisees were Judaic sects who were militant in their Jewish beliefs. And Paul himself was a Pharisee prior to claiming himself to be the apostle of the Gentiles. And as a Pharisee, he was traveling around killing anybody who believed in messianic fulfillment. In other words, people who thought Jeshua was the Messiah. He was going around literally killing them, stoning them to death. But that was after, of course, Jeshua was around. But it says, damn the Pharisees. In other words, he was obviously mad at them at this in this situation, and I did see him mad at times. So he's a man who gets mad sometimes. So whether he said this or not, I don't know. I wasn't there, but he said, damn the Pharisees. They are like a dog sleeping in the cattle manger. The dog neither eats nor lets the cattle eat. He's literally saying these Judaic people are literally stopping others from seeing the nourishment of God. And it's a dog, and every time the cow tries to go over and get nourished from God, the dog barks at it, growls at it, doesn't let him near the food. He literally is not letting anybody else have the connection to source or the connection to God, but he's doing that to make himself lord over the cows around him, the people around him. He's literally comparing them to dogs, as a vicious dog, because he's not letting the people enter into the reality of God. So in this next one, he says, congratulations to those who know where the rebels are going to attack. They can get going, collect their imperial resources, and be prepared before the rebels arrive. In this story, in this line, the people who are speaking in opposition to the beliefs of their imperial rulers are the rebels. He's speaking of himself. He's talking about himself being a rebel, right? He's saying, congratulations to the rebels for those who know where the rebels are going to attack. He understands that they understand that he's talking about empowerment and taking power to the individual rather than to a ruling authority. And he's saying they can collect their imperial resources, they control everything close and build walls around themselves and be prepared before the rebels arrive. So in other words, he's literally warning and saying they are preparing for this rise, and they are setting themselves up to be in a place of ready for the rebels. Ready. Congratulations to them, because they're lost in fear. They're lost in this anxiety. They're in this space of hoarding and piling and the love of money and all this stuff, and then he's like, good for them. Congratulations to them. Good. They're suffering in their own misery of their fears, and so he's literally saying, congratulations to them. Let them have it. Good for them. He's basically saying, don't worry about what they're doing. Worry about what you're doing, because that is the true power, is for you to be in control of you and your experience. And he says, they say to Jesus, come, let us pray today and let us fast. Now, this next line that I'm about to say is going to be very interesting, because Joshua believed that the prayer, which was a Judaic thing, was meant to be in repentance, right? And let us fast, basically tell the world that we're bad people. His next, Jesus then says, what sin have I committed, or how have I been undone? Rather, when the groom leaves the bridal suite, then let the people fast and pray. In other words, he's saying I haven't done anything wrong. Why should I pray? Why should I do this? When the groom leaves the bridal suite and he goes back into the physical world, and then you let fast and pray all you want. But he's literally saying, I haven't done anything wrong, and so I don't need to fast or pray, because those are repentance modalities, dogmas of the religion, and in reality, I haven't done anything wrong. So when the groom leaves the bridal suite, then let people fast and pray. He says when they leave the world, let them go over to the other side and experience their oneness and all that source, and then they'll understand that there is no need to fast or pray. But he's saying, well, while you're here, you're not being judged. You don't need to do those dogmas, rituals, and any of those things. He's literally saying, when you cross over, when you leave the physical world, you go back to the other side, then you'll have your true understanding. Jesus said, whoever knows the father and the mother will be called the child of a whore. Jesus said, when you make the two into one, you will become children of Adam. And when you say mountain move from here, it will move. Jesus said, the Father's kingdom is like a shepherd who had 100 sheep. One of them, the largest, went astray. He left the 99 and looked for the one until he found it. After he toiled, he said to the sheep, I love you more than the 99. Jesus said, whoever drinks from my mouth will become like me. I myself shall become that person, and the hidden things will be revealed to him. Jesus said, the Father's kingdom is like a person who had a treasure hidden in his field, but did not know it. And when he died, he left it to his son. The son did not know it either. He took over the field and sold it. The buyer went plowing and discovered the treasure, and began to lend money at interest to whomever wished. Jesus said, let one who has found the world and has become wealthy renounce the world. So in this segment, he starts out here, whoever knows the father and mother will be called the child of a whore. Whoever knows the father and the mother will become known as a child of a whore. In other words, when you are so invested in the physical experience and the physical relationships and all that, you're going to have your struggles and strife, because you're invested in the earthly relationships, the physical world constructs, all of the things that make you suffer. To be here in the physical is to have those moments of suffrage. And when you come back to the space of realizing your oneness with God, then when somebody says something to you, you have the ability to actually not react to what they're saying, because you're not of their experience. I recently had someone contact me about, how she really felt that the world, that she needed to teach people to fight and argue and get mad as hell. And I'm like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just release the attachment to the experience you're having and move on with your life, rather than fighting against it and creating a struggle within your life? And so what he's saying here is those who are so invested in the physical world, they're going to have struggles. They're going to be called a whore. They're going to have all these various things happen to them. And it's about literally being so invested in the physical that they're not tapped into the oneness of God. Then the next line he says, Jesus said, when you make two into one, you will become the children of Adam. And when you say mountain, move from here, it will move. He's literally saying, come back to the oneness of God. Release the physical world constructs. Let go of the father and the mother. It does not mean negate your family. It means let go of the struggles of life, and live a loving life. And he's saying once you make the two into one, then all things are possible for you. And this mountain moved from here and it will move. That's something that's in the Bible still. It's the famous mustard seed quote. When you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can ask a mountain to move and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. He's talking about that belief, that simple belief in yourself, the belief in your oneness with God, belief in the ability to wield God's power. My son, when he was 6 years old, told me, Daddy, God told me he's in everything and everyone, and we control the God part inside of us. Such a beautiful and simplistic way of saying what Jeshua is saying right here in this exact text. And I think it's important to realize that when he's saying this, he's not being facetious. He's not being metaphorical. He's literally saying when you recognize that you are love and you put love into the world, you get love in return. I have had experiences all over the world. I've had loving, beautiful experiences all over the world, including right here in Akron, Ohio. And those loving, beautiful experiences, when they get messed up, it's not because of my being one. It's because of my being fearful or angry or feeling disrespected of something, my physical world things. And in reality, when I'm loving, I get love in return. And I just let go of all of that physical junk and all of those stories that we tend to fall into that give us the life that's not of our choosing, of our desiring. And when we come back to that loving space, we get the life. The mountains move for us because now we are just loving. Jesus said the Father's kingdom is like a shepherd who had 100 sheep. One of them, the largest, went astray. He left the 99 and looked for the one until he found it. After he toiled, he said to the sheep, I love you more than the 99. He's talking about the one sheep who really has taken in the nourishment, taken in the sustenance, has shown that they are hearing what is being said, and the 99 who aren't hearing, he has to let them go to keep the one that is that is drinking and eating of what he's speaking of. And when you think about what I'm saying here, he's saying that the one who is nourished by this truth is the most important, because that one who is nourished by this truth can change the 99 that aren't there. And right in this next line, he says, whoever drinks from my mouth will become like me. I myself shall become that person, and the hidden things will be revealed to him. He's literally saying, when you start listening to what I'm saying and taking the truth in that I'm giving you, you will become nourished, and you will become the great sheep that God says, oh, that's so important, because you're resonating closer with the source of God. You are becoming the one that is in vibration and harmony, and whose veil is thinner. All of those terminologies that we use nowadays, you're the one who is being the most like God. And so, when you drink from that, the hidden truths, hidden things are revealed to him or her. It doesn't matter, gender doesn't matter, but it's the hidden things are revealed when you just come back to listening and being loving, being that loving essence of self. Bring love into the world, and everything's revealed. Everything gets easier. And I've been very blessed to have a lot of amazing experiences in my life and things happening for me very well. And it's always because I'm being loving. And when I'm not, I have that experience as well. Jesus said, the Father's kingdom is like a person who had a hidden treasure in his field, but did not know it. And that when he died, he left it to his son. The son did not know about it either. He took over the field and sold it. The buyer went plowing and discovered the treasure and began to lend money at interest to whomever he wished. He's literally saying the truth of God has been put down onto the earth and has been given freely and openly for all to see. And then people kind of discarded it and set it aside. And someone else came along, didn't know it either, and then he sold the land. So in other words, he just kept going, and then people started finding bits of truth, and then this guy finds the truth in the field, and rather than giving it freely to the world, he wrapped a religion around it. He wrapped a structure around it. He wrapped something that can make money around it. And he started creating a world that is based upon, if you want to come to God, you have to come to my church or tithe or all of these physical world constructs. He's literally saying here, and began to lend money at interest to whoever he wished, right? He was literally saying this physical person is now doling out God as a commodity, and God is free to everyone. It's just sitting in a field. It's just sitting there waiting for everyone to pick it up and take it. And this story he's telling here is one of absolute expression of what religion is in the world. Religion is literally just the marketing and selling of God. One of the biggest landowners in the United States is the Catholic Church. Why? Because they've got good property and they've got good land, and the church that I grew up in has a couple of multi-million-dollar properties in a beach resort. And so it's like, it really comes down to the idea of that the marketing and selling of God rather than sharing the open, free oneness with the source of all. And that's what he's talking about in this one. And then he says, let the one who has found the world and has become wealthy renounce the world. He says, let them let go of this and come back to the fold. Let them let go of selling all of this and come back to the fold. We see that right now. The term recovered Catholic or recovering Catholic is very big. It's out there right now. Why is that? Because people are renouncing the religion and finding God. They're coming back to the source. And they're doing it in huge numbers right now. And I think it's important that we realize that we are part of this oneness of God, and that the physical world is just the physical world. It's, you can't, the old expression, you can't take it with you, right? You can live in enough to feel free to do what you want to do in life. Do you really need to be a billionaire? Do you really need to be a trillionaire? Or are you a billionaire or trillionaire because you can be more loving? What is the reason why you're doing the things you're doing? What is the reason why you're creating these things? Not that being a billionaire or trillionaire is bad. It's just a matter of what's the reason behind it? What's the intent? What's the feeling that you're having? Is it about conquest? Is it about raising that number higher? Or is it about saying, I'm helping more people. I am feeding the hungry. I am clothing the naked. I am literally creating more income to help more people. That's a different element than just creating wealth for the sake of wealth. Renounce the wealth and put it into the world and love people. That's what he's saying here. Let's move on to this last few verses here. This is obviously going to be a short video this week, but it is the end of the Gospel of Thomas. So let's just jump right in. Jesus said, "The heavens and the earth will roll up in your presence, and whoever is living from the living one will not see death." Does not Jesus say, "Those who have found themselves, of them the world is not worthy"? Jesus said, "Damn the flesh that depends on the soul. Damn the soul that depends on the flesh." His disciples said to him, "When will the kingdom come? It will not come by watching for it. It will not be said, 'Look here,' or 'Look there.' Rather, the Father's kingdom is spread out upon the earth, and people don't see it." Simon Peter said to them, "Make Mary leave us, for females don't deserve life." Jesus said, "Look, I will guide her to make her male, so that she too may become a living spirit resembling you males. For every female who makes herself male will enter the kingdom of heaven." So, looking at this, there's a lot in this that is in these last four verses, and one of them is actually believed to be added later after the Pauline stuff, St. Paul's stuff came out. Jesus said, "The heavens and the earth will roll up in your presence. Whoever is living from the living one will not see death." He's literally saying, the heavens and the earth are one, and it'll roll up into one, because you'll realize that the physical world is part of the oneness of God. It's an illusion within that oneness. And then who's taking these learnings and hearing them will understand that there is no death, that life is eternal, and that when we experience this world, we're actually just experiencing an illusion of death, or as the Psalms would say, the shadow of death. And it's literally saying to us, when you come to realize the impermanence of the physical world is just like a television show. You're watching a show that you get to interact with. It's like one of those books where you get to choose the path at the end to see what the end of the story is. That's kind of what our lives are, is coming down here and choosing our path and telling our story, and then playing in the physical, and then going back to the oneness of God without any death. The death, there's a physical death, but the physical is an illusion. And so he's literally saying, the heavens and the earth will roll up in your presence. All this illusion will go away, and you'll come back and you'll understand that all of the physical constructs were a non-reality. And then he says, "Does not Jesus say, 'Those who have found themselves, of them the world is not worthy'?" Those who have found themselves. You hear me say the quote all the time: "When you seek a path will be laid before you, but until you turn the path back to yourself, you never find the doorway." That's exactly what he's saying here. You found yourself, the world is not worthy. When you found yourself, the paths go away. All of those things that they tell you have to follow, and dogmas, rituals, and ceremonies, all those things fall away because they are not the way. Finding yourself is the way. And this is exactly what he's saying here. Those who have found themselves, of them the world is not worthy. The world is the physical construct. In other words, you find yourself, the world goes away. And so that's an amazing story. "Damn the flesh that depends upon the soul, damn the soul that depends upon the flesh." In other words, don't get stuck between the physical and the spiritual. Either way, whether you're more spiritual but still physical, whether you're more physical but more spiritual, the one who gets into the space of realizing that they are just one with God and releasing the physical illusions as a reality. I hear people all the time saying, "I'm just speaking in reality." And I smile, because they're right. They're speaking in a physical world of reality that's an illusion. And so they're basing all of their experience on reality, but their reality is the illusion of life. And so it comes down to you'll get stuck in between the two. You get stuck in between the two. And when you start to realize that you're going, this, that, eventually you're going to pass over and you're going to go, ah. And I don't know if there's anything to reincarnational cycle, because as I've said many times, I don't know what reincarnation is, but maybe this is what this means. You until you come to the place of being purely understanding your oneness with God, your spiritual nature, then you're going to be struggling with the fear-based experience of the physical world and coming back. His disciples said to him, "When will the kingdom come?" And then he says, "It will not come by watching for it. It will not be said, 'Look here,' or 'Look there.' Rather, the kingdom's Father is spread out upon the earth and the people don't see it. I love this statement. We are created in God's images in the Bible. This is it. Everything you're looking at is the oneness of God. Einstein said that everything you're experiencing, everything you're looking at in your world is nothing but pure atomic energy in motion. Atoms are nothing but an energy event. And so the wall that's made of atoms and the air that's made of atoms and your eyes that are made of atoms are just an energy event. You're in the oneness of God. You are in God's image. And when you say, it's not over there, it's not over there, it's not over there, because those are all physical world definitions. Somebody says the end is coming, don't believe them because they have no clue, right? Someone says, follow our pathway. Look here, this is the way you get to God. Don't believe them because that's not true. Look here, what you have to, how you have to meditate and how you have to do yoga and how you have to do all this. Don't believe them because it's not true. Those are all physical world constructs. God is within you and is there for you to see at any given time, but you don't see it because you're looking outside of yourselves for the answers. And in reality, all the answers are within you. Everything you need is within you. Until you turn your path back to yourself, you never find the doorway. And the doorway is you and your oneness with God. Let go of methods, modalities, and techniques and just exhale. Just exhale and come back to that space without fears, without anxieties, and feel your oneness with God. And rest in that. Give yourself permission to set down the world. And just rest. Come back to that space of just feeling that feeling. And that's where God is found. And he's there all the time. All the physical world illusion is just an illusion for us to play in. It's a matter of we can play fearfully or we can play in joy and in love. And the more in love you are, the less you need the illusion. So let me jump back down here and finish this thing out. This next line is the one that they believe, it actually says it right here in the text, this following saying probably added to the original collection at a later date. This would have come after St. Paul's teachings. This would have come literally after Paul started spreading his as James would call it, lies. St. Peter said to them, "Make Mary leave us, for females don't deserve life." Jesus said, "Look, I will guide her to make her male so that she too may become a living spirit resembling you males. For every female who makes herself male will enter the kingdom of heaven." I don't believe this was ever said by Jeshua because it is a completely unloving context. I believe this was added because of Paul and Paul's teachings of his from his Pharisee background. Because the Pharisees would never let a woman, and always thought of a woman as a subjugated woman. The Pharisees were basically the Taliban of the time, and so this was added after Paul's teaching, and I would just discount this entire ending of this book, because this book there is no truth in this final ending. And that's my take on it. And we are all equal. There is no gender, no male nor female. Even Jeshua earlier in this very text referred to God as a mother at one time. And he also referred to him as the father and the mother. So there was no gender. There was no delineation that females were bad and males were good. There was none of that. There was none of this turning a woman into a man. There was none of that. It was just simple equality is what he taught. And so when you read this text, any text, the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, any of those back there, or those over there, always put on your love goggles. If it's not loving, it's not of Jeshua, right? And if it's not talking about your oneness with God, it's not of Jeshua. If it's telling you need something outside of yourself, like Roman taxes, it's not of Jeshua, right? Even in this book here, he says, let them have their stuff. Who cares? And that's the important part of this, is this your journey is your journey. And you don't need method, modality, dogma, ritual, ceremonies, tithing, any of that stuff is all physical world constructs that are based in the illusion of here. You can create anything to your life at any given time simply by believing and loving. If you want a loving life, go be loving. You must be the change you want to see in the world, is what Gandhi said. And it's true. If you want to be surrounded by love and prosperity, go be loving and prosperous. Choose it. Believe it. Receive it. And that is how this all works out in the end. The Gospel of Thomas is a very interesting book. It has a lot of great truths in it. But as you can see, especially here at the end, all the books have their issues. All the books have these agendas mixed into them. And it literally does come down to recognizing that which is of religious belief, which all of them come from some sort of religious belief. But when you read them, read in between the lines. Find the moments of understanding that they are delivering a truth inside of a manipulated document or a manipulated idea to create a powerful religion. No matter who wrote them, the original books that made it into the Bible were written by a Judaic sect trying to prove a Messiah, and Joshua didn't believe in messiahs. So every book is coming from a physical world perspective, and it is, if you want to find truth in them, the way you find truth in them is to literally put on your love goggles and follow the love paths. God is leaving breadcrumbs behind so we can follow, and the breadcrumbs are love. So find love and follow the breadcrumbs of love to God. And that's my thought on the Gospel of Thomas. This was the final chapter. This is going to be a short one, obviously. But this is the final one, and I think it's a good way to end, proving that not only is he talking about the oneness of God, but proving that also the books are manipulated. And so I think it's important that we understand that we at every given time of our life, whenever we're studying anything, it always comes down to our discernment. And our discernment comes from our internal self. And if it doesn't feel loving, then our discernment will tell us it's not for us. So that's my thought on this. You guys have a great day, and I will talk to you soon. See ya. Bye. Thank you so much for watching. The Level Up Spirit channel is solely funded by your generous donations and purchases of private readings and merchandise. Please go to johnofnew.com or use the donation link below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment.